Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle something that might feel a little intimidating, but is actually a ton of fun, having your very first conversation in German. We're going to build it together, from the ground up, so you feel totally ready for that real-world moment. Let's get right into it.
You know that feeling, right? Where you just wish you could say hello and introduce yourself in a different language, but you just freeze? Well, that's exactly the feeling we are going to fix today.
And here's the best part. We're not just learning a bunch of random words. Nope. By the end of this, you're going to have a complete, actual conversation that you can really use. So, let's take a look at our roadmap. Okay, so here it is. This is our goal for today. A simple, totally natural chat between Tom and Maria. Let me read it for you so you can get a feel for it. Tom starts with, "Hallo, ich heiße Tom. Wie heißt du?" Maria comes back with, "Hallo, ich heiße Maria." Tom then asks, "Schön, woher kommst du?" Maria replies, "Ich komme aus Spanien. Und du?" And Tom finishes it off, "Ich komme aus Deutschland." Seems pretty simple, right? Our mission is to understand every single part of this. So let's break it down.
First things first, every conversation, especially this one, has to start somewhere. And that all begins with a simple, friendly greeting. And that greeting is hello. It's pretty close to English, right? The trick is that short, sharp ah sound in the middle. Hello. Go on, why don't you try saying it with me right now? Hello.
And if we look back at our dialogue, you can see that's the exact word Tom uses to kick the whole thing off. It's the perfect way to start, before he even says his name, just a simple hello.
Okay, so you've said hello. What's next? Well, naturally, you're going to want to introduce yourself and, ask for their name in return.
So the magic phrase here is ich heiße, and then you just add your name. Ich is just I, and heiße basically means am called. So you're literally saying I am called, which is just the German way of saying my name is. Easy enough? So how do you ask them? You just flip it around into a question. Wie heißt du? Wie means how, and du is the friendly, informal way to say you. So you're literally asking, how are you called? Which, I know, sounds a little funny in English, but it's the totally natural way to ask, what's your name in German?
All right, let's zoom in on that verb for a second. Did you catch that tiny little difference? When you say I, or ich, the verb ends with an E, heiße. But when you say you, or du, it ends with a T, heißt. This is your first little sneak peek into German grammar. It's a small change, but it's a super important pattern in the language. And let's see this in action. Right back in our conversation, it's the perfect example of this pattern. Tom says his name, ich heiße Tom, and then he immediately asks, wie heißt du? Then Maria uses that exact same structure right back at him, ich heiße Maria. See how that works?
All right, you've swapped names. Awesome. So, what's the next logical step in getting to know someone? Well, it's usually asking where they're from. And the question for that is, woher kommst du? Woher is a fantastic German word that means from where. And kommst comes from the verb for, you guessed it, to come. So you're literally asking, from where do you come?
And hey, good news. The answer follows a pattern that's probably starting to look pretty familiar. You just say, ich komme aus, which means I come from, and then pop in your country or your city right at the end.
For instance, you could say, ich komme aus Deutschland, for Germany. Or maybe, ich komme aus Indien. Or, just like Maria in our dialogue, ich komme aus Spanien. See, the structure doesn't change at all. You just swap out the location.
So let's put that all together and see how it flows. Tom asks, woher kommst du? Maria gives her answer, ich komme aus Spanien. But then notice what she does. She says, und du. That's a super useful little phrase that just means, and you. It's the perfect way to toss the question back and keep the conversation moving. And Tom replies, ich komme aus Deutschland.
And just like that, we've built our entire conversation roadmap. It's just 5 simple steps. You greet them with hello. You ask their name with wie heißt du. You give your name with ich heiße. Then you ask where they're from, woher kommst du, and tell them where you're from, ich komme aus. That's it. That is a whole real-world conversation.
Okay, you have got the basics down solid. Now I've got a little pro tip for you that's going to help you navigate different situations and sound way more like a local.
Now, this is a really important cultural thing to know. Everything we've just learned? It's perfect for casual, friendly situations where you just say, "Hello, ich heiße Maria." But if you're in a more formal setting, say at the office, it's much more common to use your full name. Something like, "Guten Morgen, ich heiße Maria Müller." It's a tiny detail, but it shows a whole lot of cultural respect.
And there you have it. Seriously, in just these few minutes, we've covered all the essential building blocks you need for your very first real German conversation. You now have all the tools.
So, I'm going to leave you with one final question to put everything we just covered into practice. It's your turn now. So, wie heißt du?